Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. We wanted to host this press conference. As we all know, we are experiencing extreme cold temperatures here in Detroit. We know that the forthcoming week will also be cold in Detroit, and we wanted to ensure that our residents know of the help and resources that are available here in the city of Detroit. Anyone who is unsheltered or needs to get in from the cold, we want to stress that there is help. There are resources, there are safe centers available through our rec centers and other sites, and there are shelter beds available for every single resident who is in need. In response to the extreme cold conditions, the city has already declared a weather emergency. We have activated our partner sites at the Neighborhood Service Organization, the Detroit Rescue Mission, and also the Pope Francis Center. Our partner sites have allowed us to provide an additional roughly 200 shelter beds available for those who may be in need here in the city of Detroit. We now have approximately total 1,700 shelter beds that are available across the entire city. There is no reason for any Detroiter who is in need of a shelter space or bed space during these extreme cold temperatures to not have access to a space. So please make sure you reach out. If you see someone that may be in need, please call 1-866-313-2520. If you are in need of shelter or a warm space, please call that number again, 1-866-313-2520. We are prioritizing families with children, ensuring that they are brought in first and connected with shelter. Again, if you are a family, someone with children, please again call 1-866-313-2520. There is help and resources available. We also have our outreach teams that are 24 hours a day across the city going out and looking to see if we can identify anyone who is out in this extreme cold and connecting them with help and shelter as well. Our Detroit Police Department and our DDOT employees are actively keeping an eye out for anyone who may need shelter and assistance as well. Want to also mention that we have activated 14 recreation centers and nearly 20 public libraries for those who are in need of shelter during their normal operating hours as well. I want to thank the team that is here today from HRD, our director of the Recreation Department, who will speak as well, who have all come together to ensure that no Detroiter is left in the cold during these extreme temperatures. So again, please call 1-866-313-2520 if you are in need of a space during this extreme weather. And again, this is a time for Detroiters to look after one another. If you know someone who is in need, if you see someone who is outside and looks unsafe, we want every Detroiter to be safe and warm during these times. So with that said, I want to bring up Tasha Gray, who is the CEO of HAND, to provide additional information or resources for those who may need it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everyone. As Madam Mayor said, my name is Tasha Gray. I'm with the Homeless Action Network of Detroit. And I'm here today wearing two hats, one with the Homeless Action Network of Detroit and also with the Detroit Continuum of Care. And together, along with the City of Detroit, we represent the homeless response system. The City of Detroit works round the clock and really hard in coordinating the emergency response. And so that's some of the things that was mentioned earlier with the warming centers and the drop-in and standby shelters that are opening up. And then the Homeless Action Network of Detroit, together with the Detroit Continuum of Care, which is a network of homeless service providers, we work to then try to get folks out of shelter into permanent housing in any ways that may be. So we are working alongside of the City of Detroit, and just as Madam Mayor said, it's hard to even fathom anyone sleeping on the streets, and especially in this extreme weather. So we want to make sure that everyone is connected to the resources. So as they are getting into those standby shelters, we're going to be working alongside to make sure that they are able to get out and get to a more permanent place if that's what their needs are. So with that being said, I'm excited to be able to work with the City of Detroit in that capacity, and I just welcome all to take advantage of the resources. You can call the Detroit Housing Helpline, which is 866-313-2520, and there's resources available, so seek it if you need it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Crystal Perkins, Director of the General Services Department, Recreation. We have all of our rec centers open. People can come in and get warm. We know the need is there. We are here for you. When we opened up today, this morning, we opened up a little bit early, and we had someone to come in and get warm. No membership is needed. We are across the city. We have rec centers that open at 8 a.m. and stay as late as 9 p.m. So we implore you to take advantage of these resources. We do not want anyone to be outside, especially this weekend, especially when we have the ability to help. Please take advantage of these resources. We implore you to do so. Thank you.
Okay. All right, any questions that you all may have?
I had two questions. So the first one is about transportation. So if someone's out on the streets and they don't know how to get to any of the rec centers or the libraries or the overnight shelters, how can they get there? And also the second question is funding. So where's the funding for these overnight shelters coming from?
So transportation to the overnight shelters is provided by outreach teams. So if they call the 866 number, they'll get connected to a street outreach team who will go meet with them in person. They'll provide transportation to the standby shelter. If they present to a police precinct, which is that safe haven, and that transportation will also be provided at that time. Oh, and funding for these shelters is coming from the City of Detroit's general fund.
And we want to thank the Detroit City Council, who last year the budget prioritized roughly $5 million to support a lot of the mayors, the previous mayors' five-point action plan. And so some of that.
For these shelters, do we know the number?
I'll let Chelsea answer.
So we stood online 3 additional shelters. It's about an additional $150,000. We're monitoring and ensuring that if more resources are needed, we can add additional resources. So we're working really closely with our procurement department and all of the city departments to make sure we bring online resources as they are needed.
Have there been any reports of deaths related to the weather?
Nope, not in the city, not in Detroit.
Can you provide any numbers of the number of people who've been using the resources so far?
So right now, we are currently we're activating a third site right now, which will bring on an additional 75 beds. Our other 125 beds are almost at capacity, and so we have approximately around 115 people that are in the standby shelters right now, which is why we're activating that third site. We've had I can't give you the number that we've had close to going in and out of that shelter, but we've had over 100 different households going in and out over the past week.
And I'll just add, on Monday, we opened up the shelters because it was MLK Day, the city was closed. We opened up just 4 warming centers, and we had about 30 people come in to get warm.
Mayor, has there been any communication ongoing with DTE about what happens if there's a prolonged power outage and people who do have homes and have heat are going to go without that? Is there any risk of that?
I'm not sure if HRD has had conversations with them. You want to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. So DTE is aware of all of our shelter locations, standby and warming centers, so they are on priority lists. So if there is an impact in terms of power outage, aware that these are warming centers and shelters. We do have contingent plans for Code Blue, so if there is a large power outage that affects, a residential building, apartment building, we have an interdepartmental response team to ensure that residents are connected with and can access resources. We activate recreation centers with the rec department to provide those overnight respite, so we do have a cold weather Code Blue response plan.
So if power goes out to rec centers, you're saying DTE will prioritize?
Yes, yep, all of the rec centers, public libraries, and emergency shelters are on a priority list.
And I'll add to that, our rec centers, we do have newly installed generators for backup power.
And to your point, Malachi, the offer for resources also extends to renters as well. And so if you're living in a home that and you have a landlord, you don't have heat, you do want to call the same number, the 866 number, because the buildings department will send an inspector out and resources will be available.
Sometimes as members of the community, sometimes vulnerable members, there might be resistance to coming into a shelter. There could be a mental health issue as well. What is your message? How do we reach some of those most vulnerable people when it's so cold?
So that's where we really rely on our nonprofit partners. We have outreach teams who, this is all they do, right? They engage with those households, and a huge part of their job is to build trust and relationships with these individuals. And that's the trust and those relationships is what gets people to come inside during these really challenging cold times. And we do see that. The households that don't come inside any other times of the year will come indoors when it's this cold, and they do it because of the relationships that they have with the outreach workers. And so that's why it's so critical that our outreach teams, our nonprofit partners who are boots on the ground, continue to, engage, and they do that, especially in these cold times. They'll go out multiple times a day until that person says yes, and they come inside.
All right, again, we thank you all for coming, and if there are any Detroiters, again, we want to ensure that everyone is safe and warm during this extreme weather. Please call 1-866-313-2520 for all of your questions and to be directed to the care and resources that you may need. So thank you all for being here, and we will continue to push this information out during this very critical time. Thank you all.